होप जो लास्ट हमारा कॉन कॉल था आप सबने देख लिया होगा.
यस सर, देखा हुआ.
So I posted you that detail also for APL Apollo and JTL Industries in the general tab. The comparisons. Now, who do you think is a low cost producer? Looking at that image.
Yeah, it is APL, yes, but it's also bigger. That is why it is a low cost.
Sir, low cost producer is APL or JTL? Please look at the data again. Anybody else? Who is the low cost producer?
JTL सर.
Why?
सर इनका अदर ऑपरेटिंग एक्सपेंसेस कम है.
अदर
मतलब ग्रॉस मार्जिन
अदर तो कहीं लिखा ही नहीं है.
सर ग्रॉस मार्जिन के अलावा जो है ना वो परसेंटेज.
अदर कहाँ लिखा है? अदर कहाँ लिखा है धनंजय जी?
नहीं सर, ग्रॉस मार्जिन के बाद जो भी ऑपरेटिंग कॉस्ट लगता है उसको हम लोग ग्रॉस मार्जिन के रिलेटेड जो परसेंटेज निकाल रहे थे उसमें कम है ये जेटीएल का.
हाँ वो तो आप सही कह रहे हो, वो समझ गया आपकी बात, पर अदर कहाँ लिखा है मैं ये पूछ रहा हूँ.
नहीं अदर नहीं लिखा है.
हाँ. So who's the low cost producer? Now why we value businesses on price to sales? Because startups and वो जो उनके levels होते हैं that we have discussed. So what are the general factors? Why some companies are given high multiples to sales and why some companies are not given high multiples to sales? Any view on this? Any view on this? Anybody?
Hello. जिसका ग्रॉस मार्जिन, so whoever is जिसका ग्रॉस मार्जिन हायर होगा, he would get a better discounting.
No. Guess why some companies have given higher multiples to sales and why some companies are not given higher multiples to sales? See, looking at the gross.
Because all earnings are, I mean, not looking at this, but it's what we discussed last time. All earnings are not equal. So if we start looking at if there's debt, if there's anything else like that on the balance sheet, then we have to include that in because what the shareholders are getting at the end is lesser than what gross margin is shown.
You are 50% correct, but 50% things you are missed out.
So surety of earnings and better margins, that's what gives him.
How do we get the surety of earnings?
Over the period, अगर same ज़्यादा fluctuate नहीं हो रहा है, that's how you get it, right?
No, sir. What is surety of earnings? The word you said is correct, but for आगे जाके you got dislodged. What is surety of earnings?
No. I'm saying over a period, अगर आपका
over which period?
earnings fluctuate ज़्यादा नहीं.
Sir, past period or the
no,
future
over
period?
The past.
Sorry,
no,
sir.
Over the past. So you
past. Markets don't work. Markets don't work.
Yeah, but you estimate the future.
Yeah.
No, but you estimate the future on basis of the past,
no.
right?
Wrong.
The what's it called? Growing profits which turn into growing margins, like growing gross margins which turn into operating margins.
How do you estimate that to the last decimal point? There's always going to be some error whenever you try to predict. How do you estimate that? So what Rakesh ji said, sustained surety of earnings, the word is correct, but not the past, the future. So how do we know today the margins will grow, or the gross margins will grow, and the sales will grow, and the profits will grow? How do we know that? We cannot predict that.
But we can look at capex and what their capex
No,
investments are, and debt, and what interest has to be paid out, and
no.
those things.
Capex has nothing to do with it. See, if you've been looking at capex, then your sales and profits might grow, but it has nothing to do with why these companies will be given high multiples to sales. Think.
So surety. So surety, and if it has better gross margins than the industry, तो आगे जाके it is going to sustain the profitability is going to sustain.
आपका line ठीक है. What you are saying is correct, but how do you figure out that? आपका theory part is correct, sir. Surety of the margins and surety of the business going ahead. That is absolutely correct.
Sir,
But how?
market size opportunity बड़ी है तो
अच्छी बात है ना, मार्केट साइज अपॉर्चुनिटी बड़ी है तो हमारा धंधा चलेगा, वो अच्छी बात है. बट हाउ डू यू गेट टू द श्योरिटी? आई एम स्टक ऑन द वर्ड श्योरिटी.
सर कैपेसिटी यूटिलाइजेशन अगर कम है.
Hello.
Sir, is it because of if he's a low cost producer, obviously he can take more hit, because obviously if there is fluctuation in raw material, he will still have a profit margin. But if you have a higher cost producer, obviously your margins are thinner, so your profit margins will be hit more if there is a fluctuation in the raw material costs.
No, sir.
You have more in your pocket, basically. That is what I'm trying to say.
नो सर. आपने लगता है लास्ट वो कॉल का वीडियो अभी रिसेंटली देखा है. दैट इज वेरी शार्प एंड क्लियर इन योर माइंड. नो सर.
सर अगर कैपेसिटी यूटिलाइजेशन कम है.
सी कैपेसिटी यूटिलाइजेशन अगर कम है. See, one. I'll go one by one. If say suppose one business has a less capacity utilization and you are saying that the capacity utilization will go ahead or grow, then sales and profits would come. यही बोलना चाह रहे हो?
Yes sir, तो ऑपरेटिंग लीवरेज क्लिक करेगा सर. Yes.
If I tell you if capacity utilization कम है और वो कम ही रह गया और बहुत सारे business houses सेटअप हो गए, then what? You are just guessing ना. What are you going to go forward?
Yes sir.
Why the guesswork? Why the predictions? See, again, I am stuck on the word surety.
Yes, sir. There's a quality of sales. There's a recurring sales, kind of a subscription, advance payments, fixed contract with the clients.
Businesses.
Which is.
So that means businesses who don't have subscriptions or don't have recurring sales should never be traded at high price to sales.
सर हायर ऑर्डर बुक अगर है तो सर.
तो हायर ऑर्डर बुक तो सबकी होती है, उससे क्या फर्क पड़ेगा? See, higher order book has nothing to do with it. Subscription business has nothing to do with it. Why? My question is why some businesses are being valued very high market cap to sales, and why some businesses are not valued like that. And I am stuck on the word surety. What next?
So the moat.
Now you're getting close. What moat?
I mean, there's multiple modes. What we discussed last time was we talked about intangibles. We talked about switching cost.
Correct.
The network low cost advantage.
Now you're sounding very interesting. Yeah, go on.
So if you have a moat, you basically like nobody can come and spoil your business for at least there's a buffer and a cushion, and potentially not, so maybe that's where it's coming from. You have a moat, so there's consistency. We spoke about how like GPIL has the iron ore mines, so maybe they know where their supply is coming from, so they know ki iska price to yahi hai. So it's coming from knowing that your margins will be consistent because you've got captive mines.
Correct. So this is related to modes only. That is why the surety. So the first mode which we discussed was had two parts: low cost producer and the second one was who was getting making the products a low cost maker. One was getting material from captive sources, so he has a source of a low cost material. The other we saw was low cost producer. Now let's go and value these businesses. We saw that JTL is a low cost producer, correct, versus APL. I just posted that image in the group if anybody saw over there. Now, if that is the case, this is GPIL having a price to sales of 2 times, barely 2 times. This is JTL having a price to sales of barely 2.1 times, and this is APL, not the low cost producer, has a price to sales of 2.2 times. Why this disparity?
Sir, is it also when you talk about modes, it's also related to the Porter 5 forces, like bargaining power with supplier, bargaining power with buyer, threat of substitution, threat of new entry. I mean, I see that it is somehow related to the same Porter 5 forces that APL is
How
much
can
more
you
stronger in this areas.
how can you be assured of threat of new entry?
No, there is no surety. I mean, for a new entrance to come, there is a lot that he has to cover to come to even at a same level to give him any competition. So basically, it will take him years to even come near him. So he can't stop a new entrant, but he can make it unviable for the new entrant by dropping his prices, and because he's producing such a mass, so obviously the new entry will not be able to get that economies to scale unless he's got very deep pockets.
Correct. So this is the first point, barriers to entry. Now look at these price to sales. Don't go by the name. This company has been traded at price to sales at 27 times. So the first point is barriers to entry. Now, do you think how many players can enter in the business what they are doing? The company which I just shown you.
Many players.
Again, the growth of Praveg or an asset light business would be say 5% growth of profits year over year, and the growth of a cyclical business would be say 15%. Still you would see that the cyclical business or the business which is very doubtful कि numbers आएंगे कि नहीं आएंगे, growth आएगी कि नहीं आएगी, would be valued at a lesser multiple to sales versus the business where the doubts are less कि इसमें growth आएगी and it will be able to do that. So in this example he says Coca-Cola had an estimate of 5% growth rate for the next year, and it was trading at a multiple of 3.6x price to sales. Just 1 second, I'm just coming back. So here in this case, Coke's growth was estimated to be 5%. Hence, price to sales multiple was 3.6x. And RIM, which was BlackBerry, the growth was estimated to be 12%, but the price to sales was just 0.7x. Why the difference? Why the difference? Hello, am I audible?
So can you repeat that if possible?
In the example which I am reading out to you, the example says Coca-Cola had an estimate of 5% growth rate and it was trading at a price to sales multiple of 3.6 times. Similarly, RIM Research in Motion, which was BlackBerry, had an estimate of 12%, but it was traded at 0.8 times price to sales multiple. Why the difference? See, in one place, you are expected to grow more and still you are being offered a less multiple. And in another place, you are estimated to grow less and still you've been offered the more multiple. Why the difference?
Is this where the surety and that comes
Yes.
in?
Yes. Why the surety? Why there is surety for Coca-Cola and why there is not the surety for BlackBerry mobile operator?
Consumption of the product, sir. Consumption of the product. क्योंकि कोका कोला तो बार बार लोग पीते ही रहेंगे और ब्लैकबेरी तो मतलब एक बार लिया तो बार बार नहीं लेगा वो.
नहीं 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 एक बार लिया बार बार नहीं लेने की बात नहीं. In that time they also had a disruption risk. And no, it is not only consumption because Coca-Cola was available at every damn outlet in the world. Versus the mobiles, when iPhone was getting launched and Android was coming, they had a risk of technology being going obsolete or a disruption risk. The more the surety of your cash flows going forward, markets will value you more. Even if you are estimated to grow at a lesser rate than any other industry's business. So price to sales, a very high number, take a crude metric, say above 10. There is some moat in the business. That is why markets are enthusiastic that the cash flows going forward will be the trend or the cash flows would be maintained and they would be increasing going forward, which we might not understand, but we might think that the stock price is very expensive. Now look at these cash flows. At 25 crores. 25 crores of cash flows. Do they justify 2,000 crores of market cap? Suppose you want a business which can give you 25 crores of cash flows. Will you pay 2,000 crores of market cap?
No, I don't think so.
Obviously not. Obviously not. But when you look at the numbers, this 25 crores of cash flow is just been generated on 80 crores of sales. So once you divide this 25 by 84, you get around 30% cash. So what would be your focus if you are the management over here? To grow the top line? Because if 30% is cash, your business is free in 3 years, or maybe 4 years. Yes or no? If you're getting 30% cash.
Yes.
If you're getting 30% cash. This is why you see the reason over here. Price to sales, a very high multiple. Even after this fall. So now suppose the stock price was 1200 rupees. Today the stock price is 900 rupees. So what percentage it has come down from 1200 to 900? कितना परसेंट नीचे आ गया?
25% आया. 25.
इसमें ऐड 25% और इसमें ऐड 500 crores of market cap more. So 2600 crores of market cap. See, 2600 crores of market cap on a 25 crore cash flow is not justifiable at all. Come back 2 years. 14 crores market cap and COVID के पहले कुछ नहीं था. Sorry, 14 crores cash flow. COVID के पहले कुछ नहीं था. Suddenly 14 crores cash flow. To generate these 14 crores of cash flows, what has been the sales over here? 45 crores. Correct? 45 crores, my profits are 11 crores, so I am getting more than my profits. Then what do I need to do? I need to compare my EBITDA, which is operating profit, with my cash flows. कितना EBITDA है सर? 16. What is your cash flows? 14. More or less the same. Great. Because profit में we say interest and depreciation are deducted and उसमें they are added. Compare your cash flow from operations with your EBITDA. If you find some place where your cash flow from operations is more than your EBITDA and it is a continuous thing, you have found not a gem, you have found a bomb. Look at this. Look at the cash flows over here. This is 2012. कितना cash flow है? Hello.
28.
What is the EBITDA over here? 2012.
11.
What is the cash flow over here?
28.
ये 28 है.
Sorry.
ये हाँ.
32.
What is the EBITDA over here?
22.
22.
Cash flow ज़्यादा है, EBITDA ज़्यादा है?
Cash flow
Cash
ज़्यादा
flow ज़्यादा है.
So using these cash flows, what is this guy doing?
buying fixed assets.
And what is this guy doing?
Reducing borrowing.
What happened to the stock price? From 1 rupee to 700 rupees. समझे? So this guy was using the cash flows which he was getting to build his business. 28 crores, 33 crores, 102 crores, 113 crores. Until here, the cash flows were more than the operating profits. Similarly, यहाँ ऐसा नहीं है, see no two case can be exactly the same. यहाँ पर क्या है, अब वो 10 सिटी बना रहा है, वो अयोध्या में चला गया, उसको लाइसेंस मिल गया, जो भी है वो सारी स्टोरी बात की बात है. So he has got barriers to entry and he is making 10 cities, which is not at all a heavy capex business. See the assets कहाँ चले गए? Has he got any borrowings? From 8 crores of assets, you are at 67 crores of assets. If I take the asset turns, so 8 crores of assets is giving me 45 crores of sales. So how much of my 67 crores of assets can give me? Hmm?
250, 4 times it is, right?
Yeah. 200 to 40, 240 crores of sales? Yes or no?
Yes.
So 240 crores of sales and I'm getting 25 to 30% of cash flows. So what can be my cash flows going forward? So 240 into 100 crores, right? So this cash flow of 25 crores, when this is valued at 2000 crores of market cap, so when it becomes 4x, so should I take the market cap to 8000 crores for this company? If it goes to 8000 crores, so this stock price should be 4000 rupees. So the point is, only looking at price to sales and comparing कि एक का ज़्यादा एक का कम है is wrong. In this case, this ज़्यादा could be cheap and this कम वाला could be expensive. अब ऐसा कैसे? Confusion हो गया. How can a higher multiple number be cheap and how can a lower multiple number be expensive? Possible, depending upon barriers to entry, which is point number 1. So only looking at the growth, यार इसकी expectancy ज़्यादा है, ये ज़्यादा grow करेगा, it's not going to give you the answer. I need growth. Of course, I need profitable growth. And I need barriers to entry that nobody else can come and distort my growth. So investors can have a good opinion about my cash flows going forward. Correct? Now, what is a good growth? Why do Facebook and Google and these businesses and cloud businesses make so much of money? To get every incremental dollar or every incremental buck for revenue, you don't have to spend a lot. So that makes it incremental margin. एक बार माइक्रोसॉफ्ट ने विंडोज बना दिया, उसके बाद सीढ़ी तो राइट करके बेचना है. अब तो डाउनलोड होता है सब, अब तो सीढ़ी भी खत्म होगी. To get incremental dollars, to get incremental revenue, incremental खर्चा उतना नहीं होता है. This is called network effect. More the network grows, more you get the money. Amazon was one step ahead. They were growing the network, a two-stage network, where buyers and sellers both were coming and collaborating, and they were putting the money back to the benefit of the customers, and they were showing losses, but they were cash flows, and they were huge cash flows, which they were making. So anybody has got access to Amazon's numbers? Any website?
I think screener में होगा.
अरे सर screener इंडिया का है, इंडिया का.
Yeah.
बाहर चलना है. So there is a website called statosphere.io. So I'm trying to show you the numbers. Give me a second. So these are the numbers of Amazon. It's a free account. I don't have any paid subscriptions over here. These are the numbers of Amazon. These are, let's go to the income statement. This is the income statement. Now, of course, the company has become very big and you might be seeing profits over here. But in the earlier years, this company was making losses. But the cash flows was always positive. Why? The simple reason is whatever money they were making, they were spending it back to make more assets. So they were focusing on growth on a two-stage network to such a volume that nobody comes too close to their growth. And why they created a moat, or how they created a moat? By reducing prices. तो जैसे अभी बात हो रही थी कि कोई दूसरा बंदा आ जाए उसके लिए वायबल ही नहीं रहेगा, Amazon यही कर रहा था. And no analyst was able to value Amazon because the profits were in losses. तो प्राइस टू अर्निंग और प्राइस टू वो सब चीजें तो चल ही नहीं रही थी. So this is how network businesses function. Now it can be IndiaMart, now it can be Flipkart, DMart, या जो भी network businesses हैं, E2E. So why do SaaS businesses function? The good point with SaaS businesses is they have to spend money to acquire customers, customer acquisition costs, CAC. And these customers are not for 1 year or 2 years, these customers for 4-5 years. So what is advertisement? Advertisement is your customer acquisition cost. अमिताभ बच्चन कोई अगर किसी का ऐड करेगा तो उसका इफेक्ट तो 2, 3, 4, 5 साल तक रहेगा ना, 6 महीने में तो खत्म नहीं हो जाएगा. This is what Relaxo was doing. Salman Khan, Katrina Kaif, Akshay Kumar, he had 3 brands and he had 3 brand endorsements for advertisements. And he was expensing all the money spent in ad spends in the very first year. One second. Hello. So SaaS business is what? They provide a software as a service. So every incremental revenue does not give them get incremental cost to obtain that revenue. So any businesses in India you think besides the IT industry where every incremental revenue does not get the incremental cost? Any such businesses over here? Any examples coming to your mind?
So Zomato.
और कोई?
So what about
Sir, MSTC, the e-auction platform, MSTC.
See, I'm saying without IT businesses. Zomato is an IT business, e-auction platform is an IT business, normal businesses, manufacturing business. Any business that comes to your mind that every incremental revenue does not get the incremental cost in the same proportion, or rather the cost goes down.
What about like anything that requires like a licensing fee, like that's an upfront cost, then after that whatever you make
Mining
is going
mining.
mining.
सर प्लेटफॉर्म बिजनेसेस भी है ना प्लेटफॉर्म
सर
बिजनेस
वो
में
फिर आईटी बिजनेस हो गया ना मैं आईटी की बात ही नहीं कर रहा हूँ दोज आर वेरी ऑब्वियस थिंक बियॉन्ड दैट
Sir, DMart.
यस करेक्ट right see again listen any businesses where increment in the revenues your cost actually goes down.
So how about telecom business?
How about
telecom?
How?
So you incur the capex first, and then the revenues you get you earn the revenue.
I'm not saying the capex. I'm saying the cost.
So the cost increase. The first you invest on the equipment, then only you can start your business of telecom. This is my understanding.
Telecom does not fit here because your capex is companies doing heavy sales promotion. For example, what was the sales promotion of, say, for example, Relaxo in 2012? The selling and distribution expenses. They were expensing around 2% of their revenue. Then they started doing 7-8% of their revenue. Correct? But once their revenue started going up, this 7-8% amount was not increasing. Absolute amount was not going in that proportion as the rate the revenue is going up. So they might be buying television rights to put an ad on different channels or newspapers, but there is a limit to it. Okay. Now, do you see Borosil Limited results are out, and I guess Borosil Limited stock price was running, and the results were very good. Has anybody seen those results? Borosil is not a FMCG business. It is not a telecom business. It is not a IT business. है ना? Yes or no? Have a look at the numbers. Have a look at the numbers. These are the numbers. Let's do it quarter on quarter. From 234 crores, the sales have gone to 302 crores. कितना percent sale बढ़ गया?
So is the screen being shared? Because can't see this.
Yeah,
it is being rendered. It is being rendered. It's not yet rendered fully.
अच्छा, slow. No, सकता है, slow होगा.
Yeah, even I can't see it.
I'll wait for a second.
We can see it rendering, but it is not fully rendered.
Let me share it again. Now?
Yes, sir.
Now it's come.
This is quarter over quarter. Look at the top line growth. Approximately 29%. Now, where in this numbers, standalone देखो, consolidated देखो, जो भी है, I'm just giving the logic. Where in these numbers can you see selling and distribution expenses? Selling, distribution, administration expenses. वो सब कहाँ आते हैं?
Sir, other income.
Income?
Oh, sorry. Sorry, मैंने पढ़ा नहीं पूरा.
Other income में expense नहीं आएगा मैम.
Other expenses में incorporated है sir.
Yes, other expenses is incorporated. So 302 crores divided by 234 crores gives you a jump of 29% sales. But 89.4 crores and 83.6 crores gives you a jump of just 6% of selling distribution expenses, and administration expenses. So now you take a percentage of this. 83.66 divided by 234 is how much? 35%?
36%.
89.48 divided by 302.45 is 29%. You have a 6% drop in expenses. Correct? You have a 6% drop.
Yeah.
And with this 6% drop, your profits have doubled. Mota 97% jump. So what did not increase with the increase of revenue? Selling and distribution expenses. Correct? The company does not make it as a percentage of revenue. The company makes it these many crores I want to sell it expense in my selling and distribution expenses. So there is a budget for everything. It is not versus revenue. Chahe year over year kar lo, you will see the top line growing more and the bottom line not growing at that expense. Why? Because what has happened, they have done a capex of, why the top line has grown? They have done a capex of 84 tons per day for their consumer division in Jaipur. The furnace has started. They are not expanding their ad spends. जो ad spends चलते आ रहे थे वही ad spends हैं. तो वही ad spends जो हमारे छोटे रेवेन्यू पे हमारे को एक बड़ा नंबर दिखता है, बड़े रेवेन्यू पे वही नंबर हमारे को छोटा हो जाता है. सो जरूरी नहीं है कि सिर्फ आईटी बिजनेस के लिए या जोमैटो के लिए या सबके लिए हो, बाकी बिजनेस के लिए भी होता है. So now going ahead, what will happen when this new capex, this new furnace has started? Their capacity is doubled, profits have to double, and now every incremental revenue coming from the new capex of 84 tons will not get you the same cost as the old furnace of 84 tons. So markets have a surety. Correct? And this is the only reason, when Bajel had a low result, still the stock price went up, and Weber Global had a good result, still the stock price went down. So that is why I said I am stuck on the word called surety. All right?
फिर से बोलिए सर, प्लीज फिर से एक्सप्लेन कीजिए.
सर यही वजह होती है कि जब भी नंबर खराब आते हैं, शेयर ऊपर चला जाता है या नीचे चला जाता है या जो भी है, it is depends upon the surety that every incremental revenue will not get me the incremental cost, so my incremental profit should be more and probably my incremental cash flows would be more. So if you can sense this with respect to capex, with respect to growth, with respect to any damn thing, you are little ahead than others in the game. Okay. If you can't sense this, चैट चल रहा है ना, चलने दो. So Porter's modes are very good. Everybody knows about it. Everybody has read about it, but nobody tries to implement it. बस यही फर्क है और कोई फर्क नहीं. Next, customer lock-ins and high switching cost. What are customer lock-ins and high switching costs? You sign a long-term contract, 1 year, 2 year, 5 years. So you have a lock-in. Your customer is not going to leave you. Correct? You are getting a gas for your tile plant, and this pipeline is coming from GAIL India. You cannot go and buy gas from some other company because you have a high switching cost. You cannot put the new gas line. Correct? So it's not only FMCG and IT, बाकी भी चीजें होती हैं. So why बाकी ग्रॉस मार्जिन का आपको पता ही है, हम डिस्कस पहले कर चुके हैं. And what I just spoke with, this is called marginal profitability. Marginal profitability का मतलब होता है मेरी profitability बढ़ रही है लेकिन मेरा सेल बढ़ रहा है, प्रॉफिट्स बढ़, लेकिन वो उसका जो मेन रीजन क्या है कि मेरा खर्चा उतना नहीं बढ़ रहा है. और ये मैं कैसे देखूं? इसका जो होता है एक सिंपल बेसिक मेट्रिक होता है. You do one thing, you take your sales in one column and you do your expenses in one column. So year over year, I'll show you one example of this. Year over year, this is marginal profitability. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Year over year, the sales have gone up by 26%. Year over year, your marginal profits has gone down by $192. So this is your marginal profitability. The changes in profits divided by the changes in sales. उसका जो change number है 1800 and 1992, this is the thing. Quarter on quarter करो या year on year करो, it's one and the same thing. This is called marginal profit. ये जो अभी जब just बात कर रहे थे जो वही चीजें हैं. Then markets are worried about customer concentration. Suppose a business has got just 2 customers. और सारा का सारा रेवेन्यू उससे आ रहा है. चाहे वो आपको ग्रोथ आ गई हो, चाहे वो आपको आरओसी बढ़ गया हो, मार्केट्स विल नॉट लाइक दोस नंबर्स. एक भी कस्टमर अगर खत्म हो गया या छोड़ के चला गया, यू हैव अ प्रॉब्लम. एग्जाम्पल IFGL, एक कस्टमर बैंकरप्ट हो गया, 30 करोड़ नहीं आ पा रहे थे, बट ही वाज मेकिंग 30-35 करोड़ एवरी क्वार्टर. मार्केट पनिश्ड badly. Correct? So these are examples. So the point of this part 2 of this session is looking at a price to sales multiple or X number महंगा है या Y number सस्ता है does not make sense. Why? If the markets are assured or very much confident and the incremental profits or the incremental cash flows are going to be there, you will get a high multiple. If the markets are not sure that the incremental profits or the incremental cash flows are going to be there, you will never get a high multiple. Right? Now, for example, who remembers Avanti feed going 100 times? Who remembers? In the last bull run. Hello? Who remembers?
I had not taken part in that.
No problem, you are not taking part in. गया तो था ना, स्टॉक पागल तो हो गया था ना.
हाँ जी, हाँ जी.
See, what was the multiple was offered in 2018 peak? Just 4.5 times sales. Never did it went to 10 times sales or 20 times sales. ऐसा तो कभी हुआ ही नहीं. Just 4.5 times sales. Because it is a highly cyclical business और इसके वो आगे प्रॉफिट्स आएंगे नहीं आएंगे वो बहुत बड़ा एक डाउट रहता है. And on the same line, look at this Pravig. Example, don't take it as a buy or sell recommendation. What is the price to sales now? What is the price to sales now? 35 or maybe 30. Why Pravig is valued at 30 times sales and Avanti never went at 4 times sales? Because the answer is surety. ठीक है?
Sir, but to compare price to sales, we can take the same companies, peer companies. So in that case, the lower the price to sales, the better the company is.
No, there are two answers. The lower the price to sales, okay, the valuations might be better. But the lower the price to sales, the second answer is the lower might be the market thinking that the surety of the cash flows going forward are disturbed. If the market sees that it is proven wrong, you get a multi-bagger. If you are right, यही तो game है. But if the market is right, you get punished. But if the market is wrong and the estimates are changed, you get a multi-bagger. यही तो ढूंढना है. So only comparing price to sales with one number to another number, maybe in the same industry, and एक सस्ता है और एक महंगा है, is not going to give you the answer of the equation. And nobody is going to tell you this. Again, I'll try to recall everybody. We are now trying to value stage 3, stage 4 companies in the self-funding stage and the operating leverage stage. So सिर्फ एक नंबर देख लेने से आपकी वैल्यूएशन होगी नहीं. What is the surety? That is the most important point. With even suppose price to sale multiple of 5 can be cheap, and on the same industry the price to sale multiple of 2 can be expensive. Why? I want to make sure of the surety. And how do I make sure of the surety? By studying the Porter's 5 models, on applying those 5 models on each business. And once we do this, once we understand this, we are little different than others. Okay, sir. So this was part 2 of price to sales. Any questions?
सर वो एक क्वेश्चन मैंने डाला था सर वो ग्रुप में, मेरे को वो कैलकुलेशन नहीं समझा जो आपका वो, क्योंकि मैं भी एक्सेल पे वही वर्क कर रहा था आपका वीडियो देख के, तो
सर मैंने क्या किया है,
ऑपरेटिंग 16 कैसे आया वो नहीं समझा, मतलब कैसे क्या ऐड किया है.
सर मैंने क्या किया है, मैंने ग्रॉस मार्जिन में से ऑपरेटिंग प्रॉफिट को लेस करके ऑपरेटिंग एक्सपेंसेस निकाल लिया है, इसलिए शायद आपका थोड़ा सा कैलकुलेशन में फर्क आ रहा होगा. और वैसे भी क्या फर्क पड़ता है, पेन पॉइंट कैलकुलेशन तो चाहिए नहीं ना. एक ट्रेंड, एक
आई मीन जस्ट टू गेट द नंबर्स अलाइन ताकि इंटरप्रिटेशन मतलब सेम हो, क्योंकि मैं जस्ट वो वीडियो देख के ना आई वाज ट्राइंग टू
नंबर्स अलाइन.
अंडरस्टैंड.
नंबर्स अलग आ रहे हैं ना सर, अगर नंबर्स अलग आ रहे हैं तो यू कुड बी राइट आल्सो नो, एंड आई कुड बी रॉन्ग आल्सो. मत करो नंबर्स अलाइन. मेरा सजेशन ये है, यू जस्ट हैव टू सी द इंटरप्रिटेशन ऑफ द ट्रेंड कि क्या हो रहा है और खर्चे पानी क्या हो रहे हैं. बाकी नंबर्स अलग अलाइन नहीं भी हो रहे हैं ना, डजंट मेक अ डिफरेंस.
ओके सर.
सर वो सूरत में पता किया था सर एमएसएमई वाला, तो ऑलरेडी प्रॉब्लम है. मंडी तो चल रहा है, मतलब जो काम है वो बहुत स्लो स्पीड में चल रहा है.
पता है
ऑलमोस्ट. हाँ,
तो ये एमएसएमई का जो काम है ये मार्च के महीने में मार्केट को हिट करेगा ही करेगा.
यस सर.
लोगों की बैंड बजनी चालू हो गई है सर.
क्या चालू हो गया सर?
सर लोगों व्यापारियों की बैंड बजनी चालू हो गई है.
वो तो है. So no more questions? एक बार दोबारा देखिएगा कॉल को, आपको समझ आ
yeah, we'll just revise the video and then maybe come up with a question. हाँ जी.
चलो